Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there. Off the Dome. Here we are, Off the Dome Sports Podcast. As you can see, Byron is not to my right, but he will be here any second. We were without a sound man to start for tonight, so he is making his way into the room. Going to give him a second to sit down and settle in. While we're waiting for that, I want to remind you that you can always listen to newrockradio.us to listen to your favorite and the best rock music 24/7. That's how we also stream this Off the Dome Sports Podcast. If you're not watching right now, you can watch us live on Radio House Studios, all the platforms, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You can watch us, Radio House Studios. We also want to thank Sean Brignac with Brignac Mortgage. He's the president and CEO over there. He's going to assist you in all your lending needs, residential, investment, commercial properties. Check out Sean on YouTube at Sean Brignac, as well as www.brignacmortgage.com. Thank you again to Brignac Mortgage for supporting the Off the Dome Sports Podcast and New Rock Radio. For the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, you can find us on Facebook and on YouTube, Off the Dome Sports Podcast, as well as on Twitter at @off_the_dome pod. If you're looking to sponsor us like Sean, give us a little shout out, studio@newrockradio.us. You can use that email to send us an email and get in touch for an introductory package on sponsorships. We didn't do the intro, but now that Byron's here, let's go ahead and do it. Welcome to the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, your favorite sports podcast where two sports lovers give their hot takes off the dome. There it is. We can't go an episode without it. I had to make sure we got it in. Shout out to
the comments are starting out hot.
Raylan for the first comment. Did Byron get a haircut?
I did.
He did get a haircut. Yeah, any loyal listener will recognize that Mr. B over here finally got his haircut after we figured out over 3 years. Yeah. So it's been a while, but it's gone.
It was a decision that was made.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel a lot lighter.
Yeah. We have both gotten haircuts over the past week.
Fresh cut boys.
Yeah, mine went for about 8 months before I got mine cut. Yours just a slight bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit longer. We don't gotta count it out.
So you know, fresh hair for the upcoming wedding for our boy Rebo. So Rebo, this is for you. The fresh cuts are for you, bud, and your wife, I guess. Let's get straight into it. Usually we start off with LSU football, but before we get to that, let's talk about something that happened on Friday. Our buddy, friend of the show, Saturday. Friend of the show, Gage Gill. If you've been watching the podcast for a little bit, you've seen Gage on here before, and we hyped him up for his next fight, which was just happened this past weekend in Biloxi. And guess what? He done did it again. He won in the first round.
Again.
Two fights in a row, right? That he won in the first round?
Three.
All three fights he won in the first round. Okay, so he's just really good. That's what we're finding out.
Yeah. Seems to be that way.
Looks like it. Hopefully we'll have him on next week.
Yeah.
Able to talk about the fight, all the behind the scenes stuff you wouldn't see. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to Gage. We knew he could do it.
Yeah.
Everybody who knows him know he could do it.
He was the main card this past Saturday. There were a few. Every fight that I watched seemed to be a short fight. I think there was one or two that went the distance. Pretty good fights all night. And then when we got to Gage's fight, we actually turned off the LSU game for Gage's fight. So that's saying something.
I'm sure Gage appreciates that.
And watched the fight. It was a pretty good fight from what we could see. The camera work, they can't cover the whole ring. You know, they're not like a huge company. They can't funnel money into cameras and stuff and have camera crews out there. But from the cameras they do have, they're pretty good, except it doesn't cover the whole ring for the most part. And so at one point you could only see both of their feet when Gage took him to the ground.
Is that how he won on the ground?
He did. He got him. He took a shot to his face and then like immediately went after the tackle, got him onto the ground. And then fight stayed on the ground for a while, and then Gage was able to get to a full mount position, which is basically his opponent was laying on his back, Gage was sitting on his stomach, and he just hammered him
just hammered
in
him
the face until the ref stopped him.
Wow.
So it was a TKO, technical knockout.
Shout out Gage.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. And that was on Empire Championship Wrestling?
Empire Fighting Championship.
Empire Fighting Championship. I'm sure you can go back and watch it.
Yes.
So make sure to give that a check out. Make sure to check out Gage Gill. Facebook and Instagram, I know, are the best ways to follow him, contact him if you want to. But we'll definitely have him on next week, kind of talk about that fight, talk about his training before, what his next steps are. So shout out to Gage. Definitely wanted to get that out the way before we got into what happened on Saturday as well, the LSU football game.
Yeah.
LSU played UAB on Saturday. If you don't know anything about UAB, until about 4 years ago, they did not have a football program.
That's not true.
Yeah.
They beat LSU in 2000.
No, but they got suspended for a couple years.
Okay.
Like I remember them being like, "Oh yeah, UAB doesn't have a football program anymore. They don't have the money for it." And then it came back, and I was like, "Oh, interesting." But yeah, they played UAB on Saturday and 141-10.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't looking good at the end of the first quarter.
No, first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, we were up 10-14
to 10.
We were 14-7, and then as the second quarter opened, they kicked a field goal. 14-10, 2 seconds in to the second quarter, which is like, ooh.
Yeah, I was a little worried at first, but then our offense got cooking.
Yeah, they had us in the first quarter, not going to lie. But yeah, it was 7-7, then 14-10. But from then on out, it was all Tigers.
Yeah.
We went on a run, 27 points later, we win the game. Jaden Daniels, he found it. I don't know what happened in Arkansas. I don't know what happened with that offense. We really couldn't get anything going except for Josh Williams, who didn't even play this game because they gave him a game off because of how much he's been used recently. But Jaden Daniels found his footing again. I know it's against the UAB team. It's not like he came out and dotted up like some big-time SEC school or anything. But he came out and he played his kind of football, the football we're used to seeing from him for the past 4 to 5 weeks. Some stats for Jaden. He went 22 for 29, 297 yards, and a touchdown through the air. And then on the ground, 111 yards and another touchdown. So, over 400 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a game.
Oh, yeah.
Malik Neighbors was on the receiving end of a lot of that. Malik Neighbors had 7 receptions for 129 yards. He did not have that one touchdown. That one went to Brian Thomas, a guy I've looked at this year a lot. He looks really, really good. But shout out to Malik. He started off the season very rough with 2 punt drops against Florida State. A lot of people were, coming at him on social media, blah, 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 blah. And then he has a game like this reminding everybody, hey, I belong to be here.
Yeah.
So good for Malik there. I mean, the game overall was it was great for us. Other than the first quarter, the last 3 quarters were all LSU.
Yeah. I mean, especially defensively looking at the game, I think we really struggled in the first quarter, gave up that one big run play, which gave them a lot of momentum, and they kind of took that and ran until the end of the first quarter. The defense kind of showed back up and, showed them who's boss.
Yeah, absolutely. They played really, really well in the last 3 quarters of the game. The defense played how you'd expect them to play against a team like UAB. If you look at it, allowing 10 points is, not very much at all. It would have been great to see even less, of course. But, yeah, they played really well in the second through the fourth quarter. The only thing that bothers me about the defense, they did not cause any turnovers. And I don't know if you can win games against bigger opponents without causing any turnovers, especially looking at the next 2 games that we have on the slate, which are going to be Texas A&M and Georgia. That's a problem for me, is not causing any turnovers, especially against a team like UAB. You would think we could at least punch one out. We could make the quarterback throw something. Just very strange to me that we didn't cause any turnovers.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bright side is Georgia struggled against Kentucky, which is the second time we've seen them struggle against an opponent.
Smaller SEC school.
Yeah, because Missouri, they only beat them by 4.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia is number 1. They deserve to be number 1. They're undefeated. However, they're not without their flaws. They had less than 200 total yards of offense against Kentucky this past weekend. So, it's very possible that we beat A&M, but we can't overlook A&M first. We have A&M next week. We can't overlook them. We're going to Kyle Field. Last time we were over there, well, not last time, but a couple times ago, we were over there in 2018. The game ended 74-72 with 7 overtimes. So, you can never overlook A&M. I would argue that it's our biggest rivalry outside of Bama at this point. And Florida. I mean, Florida.
Yeah, I was going to say Florida.
But I would say, like, as far as, like, how close.
Yeah. How basically no matter what the season is, that game could go either way from what we've seen.
Like last year, A&M was very good. They were ranked, and we were not. We were very bad. And then we ended some of their hopes and dreams by beating them in the final game in Death Valley. We had no business beating them that game. They had every statistic to go their way to win that game, and they just couldn't pull it out. So hopefully we don't see those roles reversed this year. That would be absolutely terrible. But yeah, talking about A&M, they're really having a bad season right now. I mean, every year under Jimbo Fisher, they've gone 8-4. Like literally every single year, they've gone 8-4. And, you know, that's kind of sitting in the middle of mediocrity, but it's better than what they're doing this year. This year, I think they've only got 4 wins. I think they're sitting at 4-7 right now, if I remember correctly. So it's not like they're a super strong school, but like we're saying, especially in a rivalry like this, in an SEC game like this, you can't overlook any opponent.
Any given Saturday.
Any given Saturday.
I mean, they lost to Appalachian State early in this season.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a funny TikTok, and it was like rating the 2022 Texas A&M wins. And they had a list 1 through 5, and once they got to 4, they were like, sorry, we don't have a 5th yet. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. Can A&M beat us?
I think they have a potential to.
I think LSU just has to
Will
stay
they
on
beat us? No, I don't think so.
They just have to stay. LSU just has to stay on the 1s and 2s, you know, dots the I's, cross the T's, keep it all ready to go. And, you know, I know we've ruined their seasons in the past, so they're looking to ruin ours. But guess what?
Ain't gonna happen.
It won't happen.
No.
But
Harold Perkins says otherwise.
Harold Perkins can do whatever he wants on the football field. That man is crazy.
Line him up at fullback.
I want a Harold Perkins jersey for Christmas. So if anybody out there, Mom, wants to get me a nice little Christmas present, I will gladly accept a Harold Perkins Jr. number 40 white LSU football jersey.
What if it says Perkims?
Even better. But expanding on to college football outside of LSU, it was crazy this weekend. They had a lot of teams go down that were not supposed to. Starting off with the biggest out of all of them, number 5, Tennessee, lost by 25 to South Carolina. Oh, shout out Dad. Dad said he's going to get it for me. But yeah, Tennessee loses to South Carolina by 25. Spencer Rattler decided to have his only good game all year against the best team they're going to face. And then you had 1 through 4, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU all struggled in their games as well. Georgia wins by 10. Ohio State won by 13, which sounds like a lot until you realize that it was 43-30, and they didn't score like 20 of those points until the fourth quarter. They allowed Maryland to get close to 400 total yards of offense in that game. So, you know, Ohio State showed a weak point there. Michigan only won by 2, 19-17, and TCU won on quite literally a buzzer beater field goal.
Yeah, it was. They had no timeouts. Driving down the field, down by 2.
Down by 2. Had 18 seconds left, and then they get down in the middle of the field.
It was fourth down, so they couldn't spike the ball. So they had to hurry up and rush the field goal unit onto the field.
That was I think that's the craziest ending to a football game I've ever seen. Is trying to watch the entire offense leave the field, the entire kick unit come onto the field in 18 seconds, set, snap, kick, and somehow TCU pulled it off.
It was impressive. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen something quite like that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you think they had to have practiced that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was crazy. Shout out to that kicker too. Being able to put yourself into that mindset in such a short period of time.
Yeah, you don't have the
nail
time.
That kick.
Yeah, you don't have the time to take it in, take some deep breaths. You got to get out there and go.
Yeah, and it wasn't a chip shot either. I think it was beyond 40 yards, which for a college kicker, that's a lot. A lot of college kickers don't make it to the league. So, shout out to that TCU kicker. TCU remains unbeaten as well. Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia. All top 4 teams are all unbeaten. Number 10 versus number 12 was a good game. Utah versus Oregon. I expect a little bit more scoring in that game. However, it ended 20-17. Oregon pulled out over Utah, gives them a spot in the Pac-12 championship. Ole Miss got blown out. Number 14, Ole Miss got blown out by Arkansas, a team that almost beat LSU last week. Couldn't quite do it, but Arkansas found themselves against Ole Miss, and looks like a lot of people are talking about Lane Kiffin looking to leave the Rebels. So we'll see how that happens. A lot of people are talking big links to the Auburn job.
Oh yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't because of what he's already built at Ole Miss. I think he's done a really good job over there. I wouldn't. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me to leave the Ole Miss job.
You look back, not that long ago, they weren't, even considered being ranked.
No, Ole Miss was kind of where Texas A&M is now. Like they were always like 4 to 5 wins, nothing ever good. Lane Kiffin shows up and they've been ranked 2 to 3 years in a row. So I don't see leaving, but if money talks,
Definitely.
So if Auburn offers them some money, we could see an SEC coach just go to another school in the SEC. Building on that, UNC, University of North Carolina, lost to Wake Forest. Wake Forest was a team that was ranked until just a couple weeks ago when they lost 2 in a row, and they found their footing and beat a ranked team. UNC, I think, was number 13 or 15, one of the two, and Wake Forest, unranked, goes ahead and beats them. And then you had UCF, Oklahoma State, and NC State, who were all ranked between 20 to 24, all lose as well to unranked opponents. I mean, what is that? 7 ranked teams lost this week? Luckily for LSU, we weren't one of them.
Correct.
I know the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow night. I expect us to stay at 6. We could move up to 5, depending on what they do with USC.
Yeah.
But USC just beat UCLA.
I would
48 to 45.
think that USC would jump us, go to the number 5 spot. LSU would probably stay at 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting to see. But
Tennessee's going to drop.
Either way, this whole Tennessee can still make it to the college football playoff thing.
Nope.
Completely dead now. Nope. You absolutely cannot do it with 2 losses and not even making it to the conference championship. The only team that has 2 losses right now that could be looking at the college football playoff,
first team ever,
resides in Death Valley, baby. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it was a good weekend for Louisiana sports. It really was. I mean, Tulane whooped SMU on Thursday. Saturday, we see LSU go into Death Valley and, open a can on UAB. And then it comes to Sunday in the Dome, a team we really, have gotten tired of watching a lot recently. They figured out how to win. The Saints finally pulled one out. Hey, we won a game.
Yeah, it was a good game, too.
It was a good game.
Like, it wasn't one of those, like the past few, like, primetime games we've been seeing, like Monday night games where it's like 10 to 7 or 12 to 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a super low scoring, like, oh, this is grueling to watch. The Rams ended up getting down to their 3rd string quarterback at one point. However, it stayed a game the entire game, but the Saints pulled it out 27-20 in the Dome. You and I have had a couple like, I wouldn't say heated arguments, but we've gotten
passionate.
We've gotten a little passionate about our own take on the quarterback situation in New Orleans. Earlier in the week, we saw Jameis Winston had an interview where they asked him, they were like, man, how do you feel about, not getting your playing time anymore? And he's like, it literally hurts my soul. I was, I lost my job due to injury, and the rule in the NFL has always been you never lose your job to injury. If you get injured, you get back, you get your job back, and you prove yourself. Jameis never got that chance. And I've always been, I've been saying for the past few weeks, Jameis needs that chance to prove himself. He wasn't healthy. He's back healthy. Let's play him. Andy Dalton must have heard that.
Took it to heart.
He was like, oh, man. He's
I ain't
right.
losing this job.
He was like, man, maybe he thought, Jameis is right. Maybe he does deserve that job. But I've got to prove myself while I'm here and be like, yeah, I'm getting the opportunity, so I might as well show him why I'm here. And Andy Dalton had easily his best game as a New Orleans Saint. Andy Dalton's stat line looked like 21 for 25, 260 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, you can't ask for much more. Only missed on 4 passes. He had that beautiful deep pass to Chris Olave.
Where he stumbled into the end zone.
I mean, Aaron Donald was breathing down Andy Dalton's neck. And when you see Aaron Donald coming at you, personally, I would have just dove into the ground and not taken the hit. But Andy Dalton stood up tall, delivered the ball straight into Chris Olave, who scored a touchdown on the play. I mean, 84% completion percentage, 149.6 passer rating. Andy Dalton had a great day. I've hated on the past couple weeks because he hasn't been playing well, but he picked it up this week. So shout out to Andog Dogton.
Yeah, he's safer now.
Yeah, he is definitely safer now. But it really does hurt to see how Jameis is reacting, because I think Jameis is genuinely a good person. Like, I think he really cares about football. I think he wants to be playing, and he's not. And you can tell he's hurt by it, which sucks. But, I mean, ultimately, it's nobody's decision but Dennis Allen's.
Yeah. And it's not like he's like, we've seen players protest teams and like talk bad about their teammates. He still supports Andy Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he still wants to see the team win.
Yeah, he's not one of those guys. Yeah, absolutely. And that shows something about his character. He's not one of those guys who's just sitting in the locker room and he's refusing to go to team meetings. He's refusing to go to the game unless they put him back at starter. He's not doing any of that. He's hurt, but he's still doing what he needs to do to help the team win. I'm sure he's great in practice. I'm sure he helps out a lot. So it sucks to see Jameis hurting, but hopefully he's still doing what he needs to do. And, maybe if something goes awry, he'll get another shot somewhere. We'll see what happens when the season ends. The quarterback situation in the offseason is going to be something very, very interesting.
Yeah. Also, Taysom took a lot of snaps at quarterback.
He did. And it wasn't only like powers to the left and to the right. It was handoffs. It was short passes. It was deep passes. They're getting Dennis Allen must have talked to Sean Payton and been like, hey, what did you see in this guy at quarterback? Because he's actually playing him at quarterback now. And when I was watching the game, Jonathan Vilma was on commentary, former Saints linebacker, and he said, I think it's helping Andy Dalton that Taysom Hill is playing quarterback. And the other commentator was like, what do you mean by that? And he was saying that, having Taysom in there to hand the ball off, having Taysom in there running the ball, having Taysom in there passing the ball, keeps the defense on their toes once Andy's in there. Because if you see Andy Dalton in there versus Taysom Hill, you're like, more than likely a pass, because they're not going to pass the ball with Taysom. But having everything else with Taysom now lets them know, hey, man, maybe they're running the ball, maybe they're passing the ball. Keeps the defense on their toes with Andy too. So, opens some stuff up for the whole offense, being able to put Taysom in there. I love Taysom as a player. I don't love him as a quarterback. But having him in there for a few snaps and keeping the defense guessing is pretty smart. We already touched on him a little bit with the one deep pass, but Chris Olave, man.
Consistent.
Is he the rookie of the year?
It's tough because there are a few rookies having great seasons so far.
I think the top three are him, Kenneth Walker, and Dameon Pierce.
Exactly.
And
they're all three, in my opinion, performing at about the same level where they just continue
every
week in and week out
like,
to impress.
I mean, Dameon Pierce had a bad week this week, but he's on the Texans. What do you expect? But, yeah, I mean, all three of those guys are performing really, really well. But for me, I'm a homer.
Yeah.
Chris Olave. This week he had 5 receptions, 102 yards, and a touchdown. As of today, he is leading all rookie receivers in reception yards by 230 yards. On average, that's 4 more games than the next since other than second place.
Unless you're Chris Olave, it might be 2.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's also leading in receptions by 7 and targets by, I think, 17. So, I mean, he's getting open the most, he's getting the most catches, and he's getting the most yards. He's tied for third in touchdowns with 3 touchdowns. He's not, not getting the most touchdowns, unfortunately. But he's also missed a game due to concussion. So he's played 1 less game than a lot of other receivers and still getting those kinds of numbers. He's also leading the entire NFL, not just rookies, but all of the NFL in air yards. So it's not only what he's doing after the catch, it's getting open down the field and getting the ball in his hands. Chris Olave has been absolutely fantastic. We traded our first-round pick this year for him, which, looking back on it now, kind of stinks.
Yeah.
But my question is there a guy like Chris Olave in this next draft?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a standout receiver. And, he kind of got overshadowed by Garrett Wilson, but I was saying from the beginning, I like Olave better.
Yeah, I mean...
Because we have the big target already in Michael Thomas, who still hasn't played more than 3 games.
Sorry, Michael Thomas. I want him off the team so bad.
But, I was saying that I think Chris Olave is the right move because we need that speed guy back.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Wilson is... I would say Garrett Wilson, going into the draft, it looked like Garrett Wilson had the higher ceiling. If he turned out to be what he was supposed to be, he is Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson level of receiver. Chris Olave didn't necessarily look like that. However, we're putting Chris Olave in an offense where he's automatically the number 1 target now, basically, with Michael Thomas being out. You have Andy Dalton who can, he can put the ball where it needs to be, a veteran quarterback. I would say he makes smart decisions, but, we've seen him make some not-so-smart decisions. But we've got somebody who can get him the ball, and Olave is special with the ball in his hands. He is very, very good. I am so glad the Saints drafted him. It does suck we lost our first-round pick next year for him, but, man, he is going to be a Saint for a long time, hopefully. Yeah. I really hope he is a Saint for a long time.
Another receiver for the Saints had his first touchdown
as a Saint. Yes, he did. Jarvis Landry. Louisiana boy. Glad to see him score. That was awesome. Good moment. I know he was really happy about it. He talked about it post-game. Just being back, being able to be in the Superdome in Louisiana, score a touchdown for his home team. Pretty cool little moment. Defense played really well as well. It's not only about the offense. I wouldn't say they played like their best game ever because they were playing against a very hurt Rams team without Cooper Kupp, without Matthew Stafford for the second half. But, they played good enough. They got 4 sacks, allowed 336 total yards of offense, which in this NFL, that's not bad. They did allow a good game on the ground from Cam Akers, who had 61 rushing yards on not so many attempts. I think the Rams as a team averaged about 5.8 yards per carry. So, not great from our rush defense, but they were rushing the ball the entire game. So
yeah, when your quarterback goes down like that.
Yeah, they had I think they had 188 passing yards, the Rams did, and 158 of those were Matthew Stafford. So once Bryce Perkins came in, he had 30 passing yards for basically 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, with a name like Bryce, you got to assume that they're not going to be the greatest.
I hate this guy. You're right. But Caden Ellis, filling in for Pete Werner, had a great day. Yeah. He's had 2 really good weeks. Yeah. Caden Ellis led the team in tackles. He had 11 tackles. He had 2 tackles for loss. Really, really big day from Caden Ellis. What is it about us and white athletic linebackers?
I don't know.
We're figuring it out, man.
You got Scott Shanley,
Scott Fajita, Pete Werner, Caden Ellis. We're figuring it out with these guys. But yeah, I'm not complaining about our third rotational linebacker playing really, really well for us.
Tell you what Reese would love to see.
What would Reese love to see?
Some Zach Bond.
Oh, I love Zach Bond too. However, he's a special teams guy, Some guys are just meant to play special teams, and Zach Bond's one of those guys. I think the biggest highlight from the Saints this Sunday was the penalties. We had 2 penalties all game for 15 yards. You cannot ask for any better,
especially against the Rams.
Last time the Rams were in the Dome, we all know what that looked like. So, we very happy to see only 2 penalties all game against the Rams. We played a clean game. Maybe the coaching. It looks like the coaching picked it up. I don't know what changed. I don't know why it changed and at some sudden point in the season. But it looks like the coaching. We got a lot more fundamental. We got a lot more technical, and we got a lot cleaner on both sides of the ball. So it was a good day for the Saints.
Yeah.
Next Sunday, I don't know how good our day is going to be, because we're playing the San Francisco 49ers, one of the hottest teams in the league, which, talking about San Francisco, they're playing tonight.
Yeah. I need a big game on a Debo.
I don't. It's Monday Night Football tonight. San Francisco versus Arizona in Mexico City. They're playing one of their global games. San Fran is currently 10-point favorites, and the over-under is looking at 43.5. So, it looks like it's a San Fran game, especially when you go into the injury report. So let me lay out some injuries for you.
Okay.
So, listed as out. I checked this about an hour ago. Listed as out. Hollywood Brown, he's still on IR. DJ Humphries, starter. Byron Murphy, best corner. And Zach Ertz, who's out for the year. And then questionable.
Tragic.
It sucks for you.
Hey.
I can't believe you'd accept the trade for that guy.
The
questionable. Kyler Murray and D-Hop.
That's
a
all
list
of their playmakers.
That's a list of 6 guys who mean a lot to that team. Not to mention that you had guys like Rashard Lawrence and Rodney Hudson who have already been ruled out because they're on IR and got put there a couple weeks ago, and they're not eligible to return yet. So, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you've got a lot of guys who were not expected to get minutes this year that are playing tonight. Whereas for San Fran, they've only got 2 injuries. and they're both on the D line. Eric Armstead has already been marked out, which is a big loss. And Samson Ebukam has been marked as questionable. We'll see if he plays. But
looking at it from a fantasy owner standpoint, if you have James Conner, expect a decent game from him.
Yeah, you've got 2 D linemen being out, especially with Eric Armstead, who's one of the best run stoppers in the league. Hopefully, James Conner puts up a
plus
a
with
big
all
game.
these, Zach Ertz, D-Hop, and maybe Kyler. They're not in there. They're going to be running the ball a lot.
Yeah, I think they said D-Hop was more on the playing side of questionable. Kyler was more of a game-time decision. If you wouldn't mind, give it a look over there.
Yeah,
Let's see
sure.
if we've got any updates on the injuries while I go into a little bit of what I expect to see out of the game tonight. Personally, I'm just expecting a San Fran game. I don't... With the injuries that I'm looking at, it doesn't look like Arizona has much going on. San Fran has been hot recently. They've been beating teams like the Chargers. They've been beating good teams. And they've been playing really well. They're just clicking. And they get it from a different guy every game. I think that's what's important for a team, is that we see guys on San Fran. I know I've somehow watched a lot of San Francisco football this year. I don't know why. But they get it from different guys every game. It could be a George Kittle game, Deebo Samuel game, could be a Christian McCaffrey game, which for me, I really hope it's not because of fantasy football reasons. Because I need Elijah Mitchell to not let Christian McCaffrey,
Or
George
Deebo.
Kittle, and the San Fran defense to outscore him by 30 points. It's complicated. But hopefully, I'm just hoping Elijah Mitchell has a good game tonight.
A lot of
That's
things have to go right for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just hoping Elijah Mitchell has a good game.
Yeah.
It's the closest game in our league. It's at 52 to 48% right now.
Oh, I thought you were about to say points.
No, it's at 52 to 48% on who's going to win. Every other game's basically already decided.
Okay.
So I'm really hoping for a good game from Elijah Mitchell. With all that being said, I'm going to take the team that has a more consistent offense, a healthier team, and one of the best defenses in the league.
Do you want to hear the injury report first?
It might change my mind.
Okay. Kyler Murray's out.
Kyler Murray's out? Okay, it did change my mind a little bit.
As of 43 minutes ago. Inactive for Monday's game.
Okay.
My score is going to stay the same.
Mine changed just a little bit. I had it 24 to 13. With Kyler being out, I don't have Arizona scoring less points, but I somehow have San Fran scoring more points. I don't know why that works in my brain, but it just makes sense.
It makes sense because
San Fran's going to have the ball more.
Yeah, they're going to have the ball more. It's going to be more, not turnovers, but turnover on downs. You'll be punting a lot.
Yeah, so I
feel San Francisco's going to have more chances to score.
And you know what's gross about the score I have written here? The over-under's at 43.5. I have the exact number being 43. I have San Fran winning 30 to 13.
Wow.
So that over-under is a beautiful guess for what I have the game ending at. What's your score prediction and who you think's going to win? And give us a little background why.
Okay. So, for fantasy purposes, high-scoring game, definitely the over. I have San Francisco scoring 33, Arizona scoring 17. Good amount of points.
Mm-hmm.
But I need Deebo to have a game because my team let me down. My running backs combined for 13 or 14 points.
Oof. I had Zeke on my bench, so
That's tough.
yeah, he had 24 fantasy points.
Well, my running backs, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, because you had
Kenneth
Ken
Walker was
Walker
on
on a
a
bye. Yeah. No, it's like that sometimes. Fantasy football
Yeah.
doesn't always go our way.
And I was really hoping for a huge game out of Lamar Jackson, who barely beat the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
At one point in the fourth quarter, it was 6-3.
Gee whiz. That's disgusting.
The final was 13-3. Lamar did get a touchdown.
Well, shout out to Lamar. Not enough for you to win in fantasy,
Yeah.
though. So what was your final score again?
33-17 Niners.
Sweet. So we both got the Niners winning. You've got a little bit more points than I do. And,
It's a
It just
Mexico
makes-
game. They're gonna go party, have crazy. Let me
Cervezas.
fiesta on the field.
Fiesta on the field.
Dos cervezas por favor.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So moving out. Well, we'll stay into football, but let's get out of the actual football realm and something that we probably do a whole lot more, and that's bet. Lots of sports betting going on.
I've been hot.
Hey, good for you. I
You know
have
who's
not.
been really hot?
Who is that?
Soundman.
Soundman's been hot, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the rundown.
All right, tell me about it.
So he bet a live bet
Mhm.
on the Iowa-Minnesota game. Iowa went to a plus bet because Minnesota had the ball late in the game and it was tied up.
Mhm.
Instantly dropped $50 on it. The next play, Jack Campbell, linebacker for Iowa, caught an interception and ran it back to the 10-yard line, and they scored.
Soundman is such a lucky better. Him in the Nebraska Rutgers game. I mean, just betting on the weirdest games.
And then he took LSU spread and the over. So he thought the over was 51.5.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed, like, it was 4 minutes left in the game. He was like, I just need one more point. Someone's going to kick a field goal at least.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody scored for the rest of the game.
41-10.
About like 10 minutes after the game ended, he walked into my room, showed me his phone. The line was 50.5, not 51.5.
Oh, he got it by half a point, huh? Good day for Soundman.
So, going into that, actually, we'll do our previous Road Dogs first.
Oh, yeah. So we had our Road Dogs last week. I had the New York Jets. They were 3.5-point underdogs going into New England. It was 3-3 until 28 seconds left in the game. And I was like, all right, this is going to hit, because in my mind, I was like, New England's going to get the ball back. They'll probably get their 20 yards they need, and they'll kick a field goal. My Road Dog will still hit because of the spread. I was wrong. The Jets punt the ball with 28 seconds left and allow a punt return touchdown.
The first of the year.
Ugh, disgusting. There was like 7 blocks in the back on that play, too. Like, you can see it.
Especially at the end.
Justin Hardy, former Saint, absolutely got demolished at the 10-yard line when the guy was at like the 3. And they were just like, doesn't matter. It's the end of the game. Who cares?
Yeah.
So I ended up losing my Road Dog with 28 seconds left in the game.
It was cold. The refs wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, I don't blame them. But how'd your Road Dog do?
Great.
Dang right they did.
Yeah, so I took the Titans spread against the Packers on Thursday Night Football. And they won by 10.
Yeah, I mean, the spread was at like 3 for the Titans.
3.5.
They were 3.5-point underdogs, and they win the game by 10.
And
so
it was their game, like, pretty much the whole way.
Yeah,
like they struck first and didn't stop.
Really never looked like the Packers had a chance. And we both said the Titans were going to win. So, I mean, it felt pretty good. And, I mean, great choice for the Road Dog there, if I do say so myself. Speaking about Monday Night Football, like we just did, let's go ahead and give the people a parlay for tonight. Why don't we start off with Mr. Heater himself, the Heat Miser, Soundman.
Soundman's on a roll. So he took San Francisco spread, which is minus 10.
It's a big
10-point favorite.
I mean, we both had him winning by over 10. So,
and the over, which he got at 43, but it is now 43.5, and he got that at plus 264. Pretty good odds.
Pretty good odds. That 43 is. I mean, if my score ends up being correct, it is a void for him. So he will just be betting the spread. However, I could definitely see it going over the 43. I think if anything, like I said 30-13, I think if anything, it'll go over that rather than under. So I'm liking Soundman's bet. Why don't you give us a parlay as well?
All right, so I have the Niners fan parlay.
The Niners fan parlay,
yeah,
he says.
That has nothing to do with Arizona. So I have San Francisco's money line. Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown.
I need that to not happen. Christian McCaffrey, great guy. Hope I hope his personal life is fantastic. He is electric when he's on the football field, but I really hope he tears his hamstring tonight, like in the first play of the game.
Nice.
Pulls it and is only out this week. I hope he's just out for the game tonight for some reason. I just need him to
a cold.
Yeah, sure. Catch a cold. Like get hit in the stomach and be like, "Oh man, I'm out of wind. I can't play."
Yeah, ate some nasty Mexican food right before the game
pull
because
a
they're in
Paul
Mexico.
Pierce, pull a Lamar Jackson. Use the cart to go poop. Do something. Like I just need him to not score tonight.
Well, for me to win money, I need him to score. So running back, San Francisco money line, Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Deebo Samuel touchdown, and then Jimmy Garoppolo, a.k.a. Vanilla Vic, to have 225-plus passing yards for a combined total of plus 528.
Some big odds. I mean, it's a lot to happen. And you need a big day out of San Fran. However,
Probably will have a big day.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we were right about our predictions for the game, it sounds like San Fran's going to have a pretty big game, especially due to those injuries. I mean, I could definitely see all of that hitting with no problem. I went with a little bit lighter of a parlay. I went San Fran money line, and then I need Elijah Mitchell to have a good game, so I'm going to try to will it into truth with Elijah Mitchell having an anytime touchdown. They used him a lot more than we thought they would.
Yeah.
When he came back last game. He ended up scoring like 16 and a half fantasy points, which was like, well, what? Like, why did he get that many touches? Hopefully they do that again this week, except even more.
Even more? Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets like all of the goal line touches. I'm hoping they get to,
all of them.
I'm hoping he gets to like a 1st and goal on the 2-yard line, and they run like a double back system where it's like CMC and Elijah Mitchell, and you don't know who they're going to give it to. And then they give it to Elijah Mitchell, and he scores a touchdown, so it ruins all the CMC hype.
They could do a lot of things with that backfield.
Oh, yeah. It's a really good 1-2 punch to have, and I'm really hoping Elijah Mitchell comes out on top tonight in for fantasy football reasons.
I mean, it's very similar to like we've seen Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some shades from Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison when they're both having a good day.
DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams in Detroit, same thing.
They did not have a good day.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get to that in just a minute. I promise. Sorry, Reese. I know you're in the chat. Rip my Vikings. Well,
oh, my dad also needed the Viking. He took Reese's Vikings in a 4-legger parlay and missed out because of that game.
And we'll talk about it. Don't you worry. I promise. But yeah, my parlay, the last leg of it was a James Conner anytime touchdown. He's going to be a workhorse tonight. Oh, especially with them releasing Eno Benjamin.
If they want a shot.
They released Eno Benjamin, who was, playing really, really well when James Conner was out for a couple games. So I don't know what that was about, but yeah, he is their number one and only running back at this point, and Kyler's out, so they're going to be running the ball a heck of a lot. So I've got San Fran money line, Elijah Mitchell anytime, James Conner anytime. You can put that into a parlay, and that is plus 466.
What? Mike Jones.
Mike Jones. So yeah, that's some parlays for tonight. If y'all are feeling spicy, feeling like putting some money into this little Monday Night Football we got going on tonight.
The game, once again, is in Mexico.
It is in Mexico.
Spicy.
Oh my gosh! Look at us! Look at us! Look at how good we are.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? But yeah, and then the last little thing of betting we want to do. This isn't really betting. Like I probably won't put money on it. But we're not having another episode before Thursday, which Thursday is Thanksgiving. Love Thanksgiving, one of my favorite holidays.
A lot of food.
Yeah.
Happy me.
Food, family, and football, the 3 Fs of Thanksgiving. So
and fun.
And
falling out of a chair.
Oh yeah. That was on Christmas, but oh yeah.
It counts.
It counts. So we're going to go ahead and do our picks for the 3 Thanksgiving games we've got going on. First game is Buffalo Bills going back to Detroit after they were just there for their home game against Cleveland because of the snow.
Wouldn't be able to see over the snow.
Nope. No, they also could not. Nobody could get out their doors. They had to get tractors and stuff to go pick up the Bills players to bring them to the airport. That was funny. But Buffalo Bills going back to Detroit this time as the away team to face the Lions, who are on a heater right now. My Detroit Lions have won 3 in a row.
Let me see if I could still pull up that. Nah,
it's a problem.
All right.
But if y'all should definitely go check out on Twitter and Facebook, Dan Campbell.
His post-game
speech was awesome. Love Dan Campbell. But Buffalo at Detroit, I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, me too. I think they need a bounce back game. We've seen them struggle recently. So I think this could be their chance to really show that they're capable.
Next game on the docket, the New York Giants going to Dallas to face the Cowboys. Cowboys just beat the crap out of the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to have to ride with Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Reese, but your Vikings got blown out. I mean, the Dallas just made them look like little boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna ride with Dallas. The Giants just lost to the aforementioned Detroit Lions, and they just blew out the Vikings. So Dallas is on a heater. I'm gonna take them to win. Next game and last game of Thanksgiving. This one should be the best one, I believe. New England at Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to choose against you for this one game just to add some parity. Plus, I also think it's gonna be a closer game than people think, based off what we've seen recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with New England.
Yeah, the Vikings just we've mentioned it enough times. The Vikings have just got absolutely blown out, and it's primetime Kirk Cousins, and he's due for a good primetime performance.
Yeah.
He just stunk it up at a noon game, or it might have been it was the afternoon game.
Yeah, it was.
But it's time to see primetime Kirk Cousins to actually do something good. I think this Vikings team is too good to do what they did against Dallas again. So I'm going to take them to win this game. So I've got Buffalo, Dallas, and Minnesota.
Nice.
All right. Why don't you give us one of our last little segments that we're going to do, because you know way more than I do.
Yeah, big soccer fan. World Cup just started, kicked off.
One of the biggest sporting events worldwide whenever it comes up. Yeah. So this is big news.
So it kicked off yesterday. Qatar and Ecuador played, and it was the first time ever that the hosting team has lost on opening day.
Oh, that's rough for them.
2-0 to Ecuador. But going to our team, the USA, they played Wales today. The Welsh, Gareth Bale, who actually plays in the MLS for the LA Galaxy.
Brother of Christian, one of my favorite actors.
Batman.
The
game ended in a draw, 1-1. So the USA looked really good for not playing, in a World Cup series in 8 years. And you got a really young team. They looked really good until later on you could see the mental errors because of the fatigue setting in. Also the commentators, it's not just a, biased thing because I'm cheering for this team. Commentators stated the officials had a very poor game. And it wasn't just for the USA, it was on both sides of the ball. I think they handed out 6 yellow cards throughout the game, which is pretty high for a World Cup game because we've seen them get chippy. Usually the referees will let them play through. But they stopped the game a lot. And then, so USA, they scored. Tim Weah, forward for USA, scored the first goal of the match on a beautiful assist from our all-star, Christian Pulisic.
See, I know that name.
In the 35th minute in the first half. And so we went into halftime 1-0. And then it was looking good. Had a penalty called in the 85th minute.
Oh, that's so close to the end.
Gareth Bale scored a penalty kick to tie it up. And that's how it ended.
It's because we ain't got Tim Howard in the goal no more. That's what it is.
Actually, our goalkeeper played a very good game. He saved one that he had no business saving.
Well, shout out to him. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot about soccer because I don't. I mean, it's called football everywhere else. So, the fact that we have a different name for it shows a lot. It is not an American pastime like baseball and American football. But, I hope the USA can bring home the soccer Lombardi.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be keeping up with it.
Definitely. And keeping us updated as well.
Yeah.
I know we're in the same group as Britain and England.
Yeah, our group is USA. Actually, I'm going to go. So England's in first right now. They beat Iran, who's at the bottom. They beat them 4-0. And then the U.S. and Wales are tied in the middle, and then Iran's at the bottom.
So we have 2 more matches, right? Or do we play all 3 teams?
We play every team.
So
and the top 2 teams advance. And it all depends on. So a draw is 1 point, a loss is 0 points, and a win is 3 points.
So we really need
whoever has the most points at the end of the group stage moves on. The top 2 teams move on, and then if it comes down to a tiebreaker, it's goals scored. So whichever team scores the most goals.
We play England on Wednesday, right? I think so. I think we play England.
I know
on
they're
Wednesday.
our next game.
Yeah, I think we play England on Wednesday. It's really important to get a win against England if we want to stay in the hunt, I think.
Well, they're
or at least
the favorite to win. Yeah, a draw would be great.
A draw or a win. I don't think we can afford a loss.
I think we still can because it'll all depend on
how Wales does against Iran.
And how many goals we concede or score. So, like, if we don't give up a lot, like if it ends 1-0, I really like our chances to move on because Wales struggles defensively, and that's kind of England's strong suit.
Well, I'm going to let you go talk about soccer because I don't know much about it. Monday Night Football is starting, fairly soon, so we want to make sure we give the people some time to sit back, relax, and get ready for it. So we're going to talk about the last little thing I want to talk about here, which is the NBA, and talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. The game starts at 7, so you'll have a few minutes to get ready for it if you want to go ahead and watch that. It's on NBA TV. We're taking on the Golden State Warriors. They are going to be playing in New Orleans tonight. A game I wish we could have went to because it's going to be a good one. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson had a night the other night. 41 points on 10 threes. Steph is lighting up the board. He had 33 points and 15 assists. So the Warriors are, finding their footing after just winning the finals. Pels are looking good too. They lost on Friday against the Celtics, but the Celtics are the best team in the league right now, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. But they're still looking good. Right now, the Warriors are 8-9, Pels are 9-7. So record-wise, we are a better team, and I think we were actually 3-point favorites. So hopefully the Pels can make that happen and win it tonight. Looks like Zion should be making his return tonight. He was probable, and Trey Murphy is questionable with right foot soreness. We don't know if he's going to be playing tonight. I'm pretty sure he's going to be out if I had to guess. But even without him, I think we can still make it work, even though he has been playing really, really well.
The Pelicans as a whole have been shooting the three ball really well.
Mm-hmm. The other night, not the Celtics game, the game before, they shot...
back-to-back games, they shot 49% from three, shooting... Both times they shot 38 three-pointers.
Yeah, that's really, really impressive from a team you don't expect to be shooting a ton of threes. And I think my guy, Trey Murphy, has a lot to do with that. He spaces the floor really, really well. Curious to see how we integrate Zion back onto the team. He's been out the past 3 games with an injury, but he's not a three-point shooter. Curious to see how the three-point numbers will be skewed. And I think that's going to do it for us tonight. We want to make sure that people have enough time to go back, watch that Warriors versus Pelicans game. I know you got to get back to the sound booth to make sure this all goes.
I'm going to give the salute right now.
Yeah. Make sure this all goes smoothly as we do our little outro here. So yeah, in case you missed any part of this episode, if you joined late, you can always go back and watch it on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, Radio House Studios, any of those platforms. We want to thank everybody for watching live on Radio House Studios, or if you're going back and watch it, thank everybody for listening in on New Rock Radio. Make sure to listen to newrockradio.us at any time, 24/7, playing the best rock music, over 1,000 songs in the playlist. You heard us talk about the Pelicans tonight, touch on the World Cup, some sports betting, Saints, LSU, and remember that Gage Gill had fought this past weekend, and we'll get him on next week to talk about that first-round TKO he had. We want to thank everybody for listening. We want to thank everybody for watching in. I know we appreciate you. He already gave his salute. I'll go ahead and give mine. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Can y'all quit acting like y'all didn't know? Yeah, took a break, but